What's up to Nick Chicks family? I'm your host, Lady and the Chef, joined by my co-host.
D-Blox21, what's good?
Well, the Knicks and their woes, their early season woes of what's not good with the Knicks so far this season. But we'll rewind it back because we got some catching up to do. The Knicks did host and play the Philadelphia 76ers on Tuesday, which was actually their first game of the in-season tournament so far this season. The Knicks beat Philly 111 to 99. Very good game by the Knicks, at least I thought. First quarter, the Knicks actually, I would say first, second, and fourth quarter, the Knicks outscored Philadelphia, which was a good thing, a good sign for the Knicks. And leading scorers, they had OG Anunoby with 24 points. He played 41 minutes. He also had 6 rebounds. Josh Hart finished with a triple double. He played 37 minutes. He finished with 14 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds. Cat played 38 minutes, finished with a double double of 21 points, 13 rebounds. Mikal Bridges played 35 minutes. Quiet game from him. He's still struggling from the three. Finished with 14 points. Not enough in my book. Jalen Brunson played 35 minutes, finished with 18 points, 5 assists. Deuce played 26 minutes, finished with 15 points, and Jericho Sims played 10 minutes, campaign 9. Matt Ryan also played 9 minutes. Campaign did have 3 points. Your thoughts on that win, that first in-season tournament win for the Knicks?
Well, thank goodness they won, because that do count. Because as we know, the teams are divided, and the more games you win, the more you get, bounce off to the next group. And with the Knicks, there's always some good and bad. The good, they did beat them outscored them in the paint. You know, that was a plus for them. There's always a positive and a negative. The
Mhm.
positive, help beat them in the paint.
Right.
Turnovers continue to plague them. Um, they did nice sharing of the ball. They had 31 assists compared to Philly 19. Um, Brunson, I mean, he struggled. Um, and then you positive. There's OG man. He continues to just like elevate his game. I mean, you know, you see, why we got him. He's here, he's there, he's defending, he's this and he's that, he's scoring. I mean, he's putting on a slam clinic on him, a dunk clinic. So, and I love him when he dunks. It's just like it's not flashy.
Yeah.
It's just like simple dunking on him. And you ain't got to all that flash. You don't have to. And he just does it. With ease. Um, it, they were able to hold, Philly, which was good. So that's a plus. Um, and then they was able to hold, even though this was MB's first game back, and well, he scored those points, but just to hold him under his average, which was, great. I know he's still not 100%, but if he's on the floor, he's 100%. So just to hold him, which was a plus. Yeah, and then, like I said, nice defensive effort. They held them to 100 points, which is great. Um, you know, could they have played? There was some ups and downs. Only drawback with OG is that he defended Paul George good, great. But like you say, you could good defense, but if it's better offense, then but otherwise, no, he held his own. Nice win for him though.
Yeah, I thought that was a great statement when by the Knicks, considering it was a matchup of from last year following the playoffs, the first round playoffs. And the Sixers have been struggling. There's no doubt about that. I thought that, Embiid, Nick Nurse even said it. He's out of shape. The conditioning's not there. He's going to have to build up to that. But I just thought the Knicks overall, they were locked in. The ball movement was there. I thought the defense could have been better. I'm still pushing and being a huge advocate for better defense, as the Knicks have to really work on their defense. And I even had this complaint last year at times where the Knicks, I just didn't feel like, even when they did play good defense, like, me, I'm always nitpicking with the two fine chopsticks trying to fine tooth comb something. But I thought OG had a real well rounded game because OG got a lot of easy baskets, which was nice. You want to take advantage. If they're leaving the paint open, take advantage of that. And Paul George, there was nothing you could do. He was lights out from three. You know, it's a classic case of you can play good defense, but it's just better offense. There's nothing you can do about that. But I thought Josh Hart also played a really good game. He's been, again, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him being in the starting lineup. They need his energy. They need that, what he can do, and that versatility that he has under his game. As far as Jalen, I think Jalen is still going to be able to give you a good amount of solid points. I think the issue with Jalen is that, I don't know. I just think that he's just having a case of like a bad streak of missing certain shots that he's known to make, and I don't see that being an issue the entire season. I see him being able to correct that and be able to make the shots that he normally, is able to make. But I thought that despite the Knicks having their early season woes, that was a good solid win to get for the in-season tournament. You want to start off that strong, and they can continue that streak tomorrow. Friday night Knicks. The Knicks do host the Brooklyn Nets. They're playing them in a back-to-back. So they're playing at the Garden, and then I believe on Sunday they play them again, but in Brooklyn. The only time we go to Barclays is to watch the Liberty, so we don't participate in. Also, the seats are quite tight. Your knees touch the seat right in front of you. Neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about the seats at Barclays, but I thought that was a good, solid win by the Knicks. What do you think is going on with Mikal? He seems to be off from the three. Is he tired from having to guard one of the best players on the opposing teams on a night? Like, I don't know. I'm not. Here's the thing with me. I'm not concerned with Mikal. I don't feel like he's not. I don't feel like he's not going to give us what we know he can give. I feel like he belongs in his team, and I just think that he's just having a bad streak of, he needs to shake the whatever it is. I don't know if it's jitters. I don't even know if that's the best word to use, but he needs to shake whatever it is off, and he needs to just lock in. And I said this to you the other day on the phone. I think with Mikal, what I noticed with him, he's very hard on himself. If you read body language, and I look at things like that as well. Like, I'm like the fly on the wall, except I'm the fly on my own TV when I'm watching games, because I'm looking at what players are saying. I'm trying to read lips. I'm also looking at body language. And with Mikal, I noticed that he beats himself up. He gets mad at himself. I notice when he doesn't make those threes, the mid range shot, he's doing good. But when he's not making a three, I notice he kind of like, he'll slap his hands against his legs, and you see him kind of like, make a face, and he kind of just like, he's cursing at his own self. Or I'll notice he gets upset if he's guarding whoever he's guarding, and he's been trying to fight through the screen, and they make a shot, and I see him do this. And I don't know if that's like, you always say, the psyche, if that's messing with him, just playing his game. Just play your game, because that's taken away from him being able to do what he normally does offensively, which he's there, but there's still something missing. And I don't know if that's it or if it's something else. I don't know. What are you seeing that you feel like is going on with Mikal Bridges?
Yeah, it seems like he hasn't adjusted. Yeah, we're into what, 10 games, and what, some plays just take longer than others. And collectively they're all trying to find their rhythm. It's, it's not him per se. It's not only him. It's Brunson as well. Cat is there. Even OG, because he's there defensively. He's doing, his part. You can even say Josh at time. Yesterday he didn't have the best game. It's just scoring wise. Yeah, he did the other little things because that's what he does when he
Right.
don't score a lot. But I think for him, and even I can even say for Brunson, you know, I think that they're trying to find their rhythm. Is it part of, Tibbs and his rotation, and who he's playing together and trying to figure it out? It could be. I don't see him like, even like a Brunson. I don't see him struggling for the season.
Mhm.
Some players just take longer to gather that rhythm. Um, it's a new environment, so it could be that. Again, I don't see him struggling. As I alluded to before, when you were the main option, because he was in Brooklyn. Let's face it, he was one that, that 1-2. Now got to take that back seat. In some plays, they have to adjust. So I think it's just an adjustment. Him, trying to find his rhythm, and get into a groove. And again, I don't see him struggling, but I wish he would get out that funk, because like you said, he can give us 20 points or 25 or whatever, or um so I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see him struggling long term throughout the season. I see it being something that he'll get out of that funk. But I do think that, if anything, to me, I think that takes less pressure off of you if you don't have to be the 1-2 guy. So if you can be the third option, then it kind of, to me, it takes pressure off of you. So this way you can kind of just let the game come to you. And I think that's what Mikel needs to do. Allow the game to come to him.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't force the threes. I'm not going to say stop shooting, because the shooter's going to continue to shoot, and coaches encourage that. And Tibbs, Lord knows, he's encouraging players to shoot the threes. That's what he wants this season. But I think that he just needs to continue to shoot, allow the game to come to him, and he'll get out of that. And the same thing with Brunson. I'm not worried that that's not going to be a long term thing. Um, okay, so fast forward yesterday, the Knicks was at home. They played Chicago, lost that game to a nail biter. And that, not a nail biter, and Kobe White hit a last second shot. Unfortunately, Kobe White got fouled by Josh Hart on the three. Knicks lost 124, 123. The thing with that game, though, was that the Knicks got outscored every quarter. First quarter 29-22, second quarter 30-25, third quarter 31-38. Excuse me. So the Knicks did outscore them in that one quarter and the
Yeah.
last two quarters, and then fourth quarter 34-38. But the trend was that the Knicks were having to play catch up. So that's why they had to score 38 points the third and fourth quarter, because they were down by as much as what, 17 in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
game. And then they fought back, which, here's the good news about that game. The
Oh,
Knicks, there's
there's
a
a
bright side to it. There's a bright side coming from me. This, I never mention a bright side, but there's a bright side, and I was really impressed by this. The fact that, and this is not really news to me, because the Knicks proved this a lot last season. But I think this is something that, and this is something that I brought up, like when we did one of our summer shows, late summer shows, right before the season started, was one of the things I wanted to see the Knicks improve on. But one of the bright sides to that game that stood out for me with yesterday's game, was that the Knicks could have hung in the towel and just said, "We just gonna call this one, and we'll just continue to play catch up in a game, and if we catch up or get close enough, cool." The Knicks were resilient and found a way to get back in that game and put Chicago on their backs against the wall. Very impressive. They fought, they found a way to get back. They had an impressive third quarter. And that's what really made the turn. The third and fourth quarter, the second half of the game was a well played game by the Knicks. My only thing is, I wish the Knicks wouldn't get themselves in these predicaments. When we went over our game predictions for the week, Chicago was one of the teams I said I
Mhm.
wasn't sure if we were going to be able to beat. Not because Chicago's this great team, but I remember last year how Chicago played us and they gave the Knicks a run for their money. I want to know from you though. Well, for one, let me start off with let me run off the stats. OG Anunoby played 36 minutes, finished with 14 points, 9 rebounds. Josh Hart, he played 34 minutes. He finished with 6 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. Cat played 39 minutes, finished with a double double, 46 points, 10 rebounds. Mikel played 43 minutes, finished with 20 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. Jalen played 34 minutes, finished with 24. Deuce played 23 minutes, only had 2 points. Campaign played 17, finished with 11 points. And Jericho Sims only played 9 minutes. And Matt Ryan played 5. Your thoughts on that game? Because there's a lot to unpack on that game.
Hmm. Where do I start? Well, um, pros and cons. Well, for one, the Bulls they definitely imposed their will on the Knicks. Yeah,
Yeah,
they came back and outscored them in third and fourth, but you're playing catch up. So and that task is we all know can become daunting. So like the Bulls, for the most part, they had their way, with the Knicks. Um, they just always seemed like they were like a step slower, and that happened, in the Pacers game. It was like when they don't come out aggressive, and it's for whatever reason that they 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 have to. It's like an uphill battle. And that's what the Knicks they tend to put themselves in that type of predicament. Um, you know, by the way they was playing, they stunk. Yeah, they made those runs, but you put yourself in that predicament. Um, there was no sense of urgency. Just the defense was horrible. Just like they lack energy and that's I mean they had spurts. Cat. He was doing his thing. They were inconsistent just in their plays and just overall how they were playing. So and they it was like I said, they had to crawl back. Um, just like they just didn't they have to like play better. Like, and I get it, it's early. As I mentioned, just before, I know, Tibbs, he's playing with the rotation and the matchups and combinations, but you still have to play better, hands down. You just have to. Um, and speaking of, when they how you said that 17 points, that run was when Brunson was on the bench. So it's like, you know, do you do more often? I mean, I don't know what's the answer for that, but just overall, they gotta figure it out. And it's early. I'm not panicking because of where they're at. There's no bench production. Outside. Deuce he can give us 50 points. Yesterday, it was Payne's game to have. He did come off the bench and give you that spark. But once they get healthy, then you could press the panic button. But right now I'm not, because it's early, but they're losing games that they should be winning. Like, you know, um So that's just some of my thoughts with that. Like they gotta play, with more sense with that urgency. Like, treat every game like it's a playoff game, you know. And you got to play defense 48 minutes. You got to play a lot of other things you got to do for 12 minutes at a quarter. And it's doable because it's broken up into quarters. So it gives you that room to make the improvements. But it was just a nail biter, and it was heartbreaking, really, to see them lose that game because they crawled back and like, eh, so.
Were the Knicks gonna win that game if Josh didn't foul?
Oh yeah, yeah. I believe so for sure. No, no, no doubt. I'm I'm a firm, but 1,000%. I believe that was their game. Had Josh not fouled, and he knows his error and the mistake. But like I
Kobe
said,
wasn't making that shot.
well,
It didn't look like he was from my
no,
angle.
I said that. But if he was okay, but. mm, I mean, that's debatable, but I still think that if he shouldn't have fouled him anyway, regardless.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't, but, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but we were saving this conversation for tonight. I don't understand why do players do that in a game of basketball. It's so frustrating as a fan, and I'm sure it's even more frustrating as a coach. When you decide you're going to leap out and stretch your arm out, and you either catch a player on the elbow or you catch them on the wrist or the hand, or you interfere with their stance and then they call a foul. And the issue with that is when you do that, now, okay, you allow that player to go to the free throw line. So reminiscent of what happened in preseason when Precious Achua fouled. I can't remember what team we was playing. I don't know if we was playing whoever, Charlotte, and he decided to foul with a few seconds left. And they got lucky because whoever was at the free throw line decided he couldn't make 3 free throws. But when you do that and the player hits the free throws, now you may not have as much time left to try to get a shot off at the other end of the floor because you decided to foul. Versus if you allow the player to just shoot the three, you have a little bit more time on the clock to play with. But I just feel like also that's where basketball IQ has to come into play. You can't do things like that. I don't care if it's not a playoff game. You can't do things like that when, and again, I understand it's still early in the season, but you're trying to get wins under your belt, consistent wins. And if you want to first of all, the Knicks got to cut down the turnovers.
Yeah.
15 turnovers in the last 2 games is way too many. You got to cut the turnovers down. No more than 10. I'll give you 11 as a bonus treat. That's it. You can't have 15, 18, 19 turnovers. It's too many. It's too many turnovers.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
And then no one's playing defense. Why is it like it? And honestly, it seems like it's gotten a little worse this season. And it's not just with the Knicks, it's a lot of games in the NBA. The scores are way too high. Is this the Harlem Globetrotters? Like, why the scores 140, 135,
Yeah.
125? Who is, does anybody play defense anymore?
Nope.
I don't get it. So if you lost by one and it was 125, 124, first of all, you didn't play any defense if they scored that many points. And I'm not saying that, oh, in today's NBA, it's not, that's the way the players score. Yes, I had this whole conversation the last two lives. I'm tired. It just seems like the game of the NBA now is a bunch of threes.
Yeah.
The basics are lost. You don't really see it. You know what I mean? The whole list of players from both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, the slew of players that are hurt and counting. Season just started. Players came in injured. They didn't even play a game. Came in injured. And again, I'm not just talking about the Knicks. I'm talking about the league as a whole.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you got to have better basketball IQ. You can't foul on a shot like that, on a 3 point. I would rather you just let the player just take it and hope for the best and hope that he misses it. Why? And why would you foul Kobe White who can make that shot? Do better, Josh Hart. And I'm not attacking Josh. Again, it's still early in the season. I'm just saying, like, learn from this. And I'm sure Josh is. He said he takes the blame for the loss, but you can't do that. It's a dumb play.
For
We
sure.
we saw that in what was it, game two, when Sabrina decided to foul Courtney Williams on the three. Why? And she made it. Why? It's just a silly, dumb play. You can't do that in a game of basketball. Stop it. Learn from it. All right, I'm gonna move on and leave him alone on that. Knicks had 15 turnovers in that game. Surprisingly, the Knicks beat them in the points in the paint. That's another bright side to this game. 58-50. Both teams finished with 31 assists. Both finished with a total of 40 rebounds. It was a pretty even match as far as that goes. And here's the other thing. The Knicks missed 6 free throws. They were 12 for 18, 66%.
Yep.
Throws count. They count. Now, I don't know if you got a chance to see the MSG post game. Monica McNutt is talking to Pito and Wally. She said, "Let me move to the side." Y'all see that? Cat was he not in the locker room. He said, "I need to put up the free throws." That's the third bright side. That's the third positive that I took away from that game. You know why? Remember last year, me and you used to always say, before the Knicks started playing together as a team, remember it was just Randall doing his thing individually, Brunson doing his thing individually. And on
Hmm.
any given night, one of them was scoring 40, 45 points. The other one was scoring 44, 45, 40 points, 42 points, 50 points. But we wasn't winning.
Exactly.
That's what Kat said. Who cares if I score 46? We ain't win. A
Yeah.
win is a win. Whether it's ugly, a masterpiece, it doesn't matter. But you lost. Even though you lost by one, doesn't matter. You lost. It counts in the books as a L. So for people who say or feel like he doesn't belong on this team, he belongs on this team because he could have been sitting at the locker room wiping the sweat off his face, listening
Exactly.
to Tibbs give him a pep talk after and say, this is what we got, blah, blah, blah. He could have been doing that.
Yeah. How many players you seen in your lifetime that stays back and work on their free throws?
I only saw one other player do that last year, and that was Giannis.
Oh yeah.
And he was so pissed. He literally stayed, and they was on the road. They weren't even in Milwaukee. He was just standing there at the free throw line shooting the free throws. So that shows leadership. That shows growth. There's leadership there because he realizes this is Jalen Brunson's team. He's just here to assist and get them to the end goal where this Knicks organization wants to go and where they're trying to go. And I also think that his skill set and his ability, as I've touched on already, speaks volumes. His resume shows he belongs here. The skill set shows that he belongs on this team. And once they get Mitchell Robinson back, listen, there's really no timeline for Mitchell Robinson to come back. They're saying January. We're going to be patient. We have no choice.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, at what point does Tibbs need to play the rookies more into the rotation? Because right now, at the rate that we're going, it's not sustainable until January, which is not that far away. But you have a lot of games until then, as in the NBA, you play multiple games a week. So at what point does Tibbs need to, or do you even feel like he needs to give some of the rookies a little bit more playing time, as far as like Pacome and Hupporti, maybe give Ryan a couple of more minutes? And I get it, because if you play them more minutes, that means other guys' minutes have to come down. But my thing is, maybe if you drop off 4 to 5 minutes from some of the starters, then you can spread that out to some of the rookies. And also, then you're not playing the starters as many minutes. Your thoughts on that?
Um, for me, anytime you playing a back to back, which they did Tuesday and Wednesday, you get heavy legs. Regardless, yeah, that's what you do when it's gonna happen. Yesterday would have been a prime example for him to see what the bench can do, the rookies, and you know to, that would have been a prime example for him to to play them. Um, Even when they went on that run, when Brunson was out, and they would you don't know what they're gonna do until you put them out on that floor. Tibbs is not the only one that there's quite a few teams that are starting rookies, you know, and they've expanded their rotation because the minimize on the minutes and things like that. I yesterday would have been a good example to play the rookies, because it would you're doing a back to back, and your rotation is so thin as it is. I think that would have been the perfect time to play them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like I don't know how sustainable that was, first of all. And then we also had a scare because Jalen Brunson turned his ankle. Yeah, but I'm just saying, you on mute. But I'm just saying, because
No,
Tibbs is
yeah, you
playing
got
them
it.
so many minutes that, you know, you got to be careful. The season just started. Be careful, and I think the whole, like, us not having a bench is a deeper conversation that we need to have. I do want to get to this um, comment, because it kind of leads me into the question I had to ask next. Salute to Dorcosaurus Rex. He said, JB can't always be the hero, bro. Can't always be the hero, bro. He got to learn.
I feel the same.
When you look at that last shot that Jalen Brunson took, was that a good look for you? And did you feel confident with Brunson taking that shot?
I felt confident, but I feel that he don't always have to take the last shot. Like I
So
felt,
who would you want to see take the last shot?
and see, okay, I would even rather see even like Cat. You know, you could, and these are the things that they need to, work on and practice on. Was what? How many seconds they had? Like two? Was it 3.2 or something like that?
Somewhere
Like,
around.
yeah, I would have. I think I would have felt better even if Cat would have taken it, like a mid range, or even OG. To me, it's not so much a who. He don't have to always take it. It's not even a matter of who I would have felt better taking it. Why does he feel that he has to always take it? And I love Brunson. I'm happy he's on the team, and he's the captain, the point guard. But why does he don't have to always take it at the same time?
So you
So
would have liked to see Brunson maybe drive and kick, like drive in and then kick it out to maybe if OG was in the shortest corner three where he normally could make it, or Cat was at the top of the key. You would have liked to see that play instead of him taking that shot.
yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. But then I said, you tripping because you already know he was going to take that last second shot. Now, don't get me wrong, Jalen Brunson is more than capable of making the last second
It's a
shot for us.
clutch. Yeah.
He is Mr. Clutch. But I agree with you. I felt like for me in yesterday's game, I felt like he should have passed it. And listen, you should be able to bet on yourself and be confident, know you can make those shots. But I would have really liked to see Brunson either give it up to Cat, who was standing at the top of the key, who's Mr. Moneymaker and most likely would have hit the three, or kicked it out. And I want to say it was OG or either Mikel that was standing at the corner, because that was a tough basket to make. He had to turn around and do like the fadeaway, and it was in and out of the rim. It rimmed in and out. So it wasn't that it was a bad shot or a bad look, but I think the decision to take the shot maybe was a little in question. And I think that he should have maybe drove in, drew the defense toward him because it was enough time, and then kicked it out. And then we could have got the shot off that we wanted. So it's unfortunate. That one definitely hurts to see the Knicks lose that game, and that we should have for sure won that one.
Yep, I agree. Space Ghost Cat was having a good game, so why not him take the last shot? I agree. And then a Negro 11 with 3 seconds, it's hard to get a play for Cat. But this is why you need to draw up plays. Like when it's 5 seconds, there's a play for that. And who's it's hard because then who has the hot hand? Can they can they sustain that high hand and bank on that last shot? So it's a tough one. And I agree that it probably was, but why does Brunson feel like he has to take that same spot? Not so much as where Brunson was at, but couldn't they have drawn up another play for another, individual? Like, why does he? And he's done it, for his time, and he's done it for his time and time again last season. But my thing is that you don't have to always take it.
That's where and it's also a Negro one, not 11, a Negro one. Shout out to a Negro one. That's where I said Brunson has to have balance because great players who are at that high basketball IQ, you at a superstar level, and there's still room because Brunson hasn't hit his ceiling. This is a learning moment, but great players have that balance, and this is what Brunson has to implement into his game. You have to have balance of being, we know you could shoot, we know you could score, we know you could drive, we know
Mhm.
you could take the offensive foul when we need it. But the other part of his game that he has to work on and add on a nightly basis is being able to facilitate, and the timing of when you're going to choose to facilitate, having a basketball IQ and knowing and reading, okay, this is what they're giving us. And I get it. It's a short amount of time. It wasn't like it was 10 seconds. It was 12 seconds. You had more time. I get it was a short amount of time. It was a couple of seconds. But in the game of basketball, that can be a lot to make something happen. So I don't think that Cat needed to be set up where we got him the ball in the block. I think a simple drive in with speed and kick it out. Hell, you could have even given the ball to Campaign to shoot the three, who's more than capable of knocking it down. So I think also in situations like this is where I'm looking for Tibbs to figure out something different. I'm not saying you can't bank on Brunson. I'm not saying you can't, maybe next time if you bank on Cat, but sometimes you got to draw up a different look, something that the team is not expecting. I think we're both in agreement that Brunson, yes, he can make those shots, at the end of games, but I think you have to figure out a way to throw a different, something different at the team when it comes to those last second plays at the end of games. So I think that Chicago game was a learning moment for the Knicks. You know, whether it's Josh or whoever else. I hope Precious was watching. You can't be fouling on the 3 point line with a couple of seconds left.
He was there cheering them on.
Yeah, but he made that mistake in the preseason. You can't do
Oh
that. So that's learning lesson one. And then two, I think, you know, you have to go with something else
yeah,
as the player. Like, like Space Ghost said, like, if you know, like, nah, he got the high hand, I'm going to kick it to him because they're going to expect me to take the shot. So I'm going to kick it over to, Carl and let him shoot it. So, I don't know. I just think that, again, the Knicks just got to rebound from that loss. And you got to get that next, you got to get up some wins. You can beat Brooklyn. We know that typically when the Knicks play Brooklyn, the games are close, but you got to rebound against this team. You got to get this second in-season tournament win. You want to stay strong on the in-season tournament, and you want to continue to build and grow and get better each game. And that's something that this Knicks team has to do.
yeah, for sure.
You gotta improve and get better. And I think another thing that I'm looking for with this Knicks team, they gotta get consistent also. Like you can't have a good game like you had in Philly and then you drop a close one against Chicago. Like we gotta start finding some rhythm of consistency here.
Yeah, yeah, yep,
And I
exactly.
think this Knicks team, and I said this before, and I'm gonna continue to keep saying it. There's not an issue offensively here. There's an issue defensively, and I'm wondering if the issue defensively is because we don't have enough depth. Is it too many minutes? Or is it just that the Knicks are not good defensively? Like, what is the problem?
No, I mean, I think this definitely there's no bench, to rely on, and that forces them to play, a ton of minutes more than, right now. Again, once you get, guys off the injured list, you got Precious, you got Mitch, um, you could, McCullough, even though he may be playing in the G League, but like you got guys, even Shamit, what stat we don't know the status with him. So that's just, guys that, you know, because before Shamit went out, he was playing, pretty decent. So you know what you
Mhm.
can uh, hopefully expect from him. So I think, like I say, health is key. You can look across the board for the teams that do have a healthy roster. Those are the ones that's, most likely sitting at the top of the standards and who has put together some strings, of wins. Because their health is on their side. You know, they could run into, the injury bug, and guess what? They could be facing, being a deficit, like quote unquote, like the Knicks are. But for 10 games, yeah, what I'd like to see them possibly even at 7-3 or hell 6-4. But I think once those other players come back, we'll definitely see a different outcome. So I think it's just we don't have a bench. We what we get, like if we could get 15 from Deuce, Payne chipped in 11 and then Deuce so once those pieces start falling in place, the Knicks will, be up there in the standings and just string some wins together on a consistent basis. Because, like you said, there's a lot of inconsistencies with them.
So you think that if the Knicks had a healthy Mitchell Robinson and Precious Achua, their record wouldn't be 5-6. They would have at least, I don't know, they'd be 8-3, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, because you even said it yourself. Players that go in that paint, they won't have such an easy time in that paint. Yeah, Mitch don't give us the offense, but he does give us the defense and offensive rebound. So what he lacks for offensively, he makes up and rebounded and just guard and that rim protector. So things like that helps the team. Even Precious. Yeah, he's not a true five, but you know he's a pretty decent rim protector. He could give you some rebounds. So yeah, I believe so.
I don't know. I think that I wonder if the Knicks had Mitchell Robinson and they had Precious Achua, maybe it would have changed the record. So the standing so far, and that's not necessarily my focal point. I'm just saying that maybe we wouldn't have dropped a few of the games that we lost that we should have won. The
Yeah.
Knicks have now lost 6 games. So I do think that, yeah, maybe the Knicks would have probably won maybe two more, maybe three more, because you do have that backup with Mitch, and then you have Precious Achua there. But I still don't know if that's sustainable because, and then I forget that they do have Campaign who can come off the bench as well. I don't know. And to answer your question, Eddie, I don't think that Josh should be coming off the bench because we don't have enough. The Knicks don't have a deep enough roster to for me to say you can have someone who can give you what he gives to start in his place. And then that we could comfortably say, oh yeah, where Tips can be like, yeah, I can have him come off the bench. So no. But I do think that this Knicks team will find their rhythm. They will figure out how to come together and play together more. Because right now it just seems really imbalanced. Like one game or a few, I shouldn't say one game for Cap. Maybe 1 or 2 games he hasn't had a high, really good scoring game. But for the most part, he's been steady. I'll say OG's been steady, and that OG's been doing a little bit of everything. We can't just look at, oh, well, OG only gave you 14 to 16 points. Yeah, but he did a lot of other things defensively. He's here, he's there. So he is giving you a little bit of melting pot of everything. And the same thing for the most part with Josh. But I don't know. I just still feel like there's a lot of imbalance with this Knicks team so far. Like, are the Knicks where you thought they were going to be so far with this first, 11 games?
What do I think? Say that. Repeat that
Are
again.
are the Knicks where you thought they were going to be so far with this first, where they're at with these first 11 games?
No, I thought that they would be. I would go even as high as 7-4.
Hmm.
Um, that Bulls game that was a game that potentially could have brought them even the Pacers game. You
Yeah.
know that they just lost. So those are definitely two games that that was somebody put three. Eddie said we gave 3 games away, but I that those are potentially 2 games right there that were winnable. So yeah, I thought they would have been further along, for the most part, maybe 7-4,
Yeah.
at least, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I keep telling myself it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, yep.
And this Knicks can gain a lot of ground. And I think sometimes it can work in your favor where you brought up a good point, like Cleveland is 12-0, but like
13-0.
13
Correct.
and 0. But if like they sustain an injury to Garland or, one of their top guys, it can possibly impact them,
Yeah.
and maybe affect their standings. And I think that, I said this already though, with Cleveland, they figured out the formula like Boston has. They figured it out. And when a team figures that out, they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They're not going to lose very many games. It's very few they're going to lose
Yeah.
because they figured out how to win, how to play together, and where no one's stopping that chemistry. No one's stopping us no matter who we play. And I think with this Knicks team, they're going to get there, but it's going to take some time. Now, is that going to happen? Is that not going to happen until next month, January, February, after the All Star? I don't know. But what I don't want to see is this Knicks team um, have to play catch up at the late part of the midpoint of the season to the end of the season, trying to play catch up in the standings because we slipped too far down in the Eastern Conference standings. And now we're trying to beat teams to crawl our way back up, because we was talking about this. We said, F around and find out, and you'll be playing Cleveland in the first round. Now, the Knicks have Cleveland's number, but this is not the same Cleveland team you played the last two seasons. They pretty much kept the same squad, changed the coach. Changed the coach.
Yeah.
And the right coach, can bring you to the next level. We've talked about Tibbs on the last show, and we both agreed, and this is true. We're not here making this up as imaginary reporters or podcasters. Tibbs is known to bring teams from level here to here. Tibbs has improved as a coach. He can win it all.
Yeah.
Tibbs has improved. He can win a championship. So there's pressure on Tom Thibodeau. You got to prove that you can win a championship because when Tibbs first got here, he didn't have all the tools needed to get the job done. I'm sure he was when they was having meetings, he was telling Leon in the front office, I don't you want this is what I'm working with.
And he said we should be 8-3 by now. Gee, Eddie. Hey, possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
So he didn't have all the tools that he needed. They made it happen. When they got rid of RJ quickly and they brought in OG. And there was some questions about OG and why he's getting the money that he's getting. Let's not worry about and pocket watch players. Let's wait till the season play out and then we could talk about that. So Tibbs has what he needs. The only thing I'll give him is maybe this season there's a little bit of depth missing on the bench. Because Jericho Sims is playing because of circumstance. Mitchell Robinson is out hurt. And pretty soon, you've already called it. You said this to me a few times. Sims minutes are going to diminish. Tibbs is giving Sims the floor to basically say, prove me wrong and show me that you can continue.
You
That's
earned it.
about to be nipped in the bud real quick. Soon as pressures come back, the minutes are going to go down. And honestly, that it should be that way. And then you can have Huck Porty get some of those minutes. He's not really doing anything out there. Someone put in the last live, Sims played good. I don't know if maybe I'm watching the wrong channel. Maybe I'm watching last season's game or a different game. It's not the Knicks. Maybe I'm missing things because I don't get up like that while the games is on unless it's a timeout and they go to a commercial. So Tibbs, there's been questions if Tibbs is the right fit for this Knicks team. My only question with Tibbs is, can Tibbs bring this Knicks team to a championship level? Because you can be a contender. Right now, the Knicks are not a contender for championship right now. Can they get there? Yes. But I think the Knicks have to prove that they can get out of the second round. The Knicks have to prove they can play defense. Tibbs has to prove he can get this team a championship. And a lot of times it does start with the coach. Missoula's figured out the formula. Celtics got rid of who was their coach? Bickerstaff?
No, that was he was Cleveland's coach. It was
Cleveland.
remember Emu Adoko. He was the coach before Missoula got came.
No, I know I'm talking about Cleveland.
No, but you said oh I thought when you said Missoula figured it out, then you said who
Yeah,
was
I
the
was talking
coach?
about for Boston, and then I was going over to Cleveland. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, they
So,
respond very well under Atkinson.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna wait it out and let's see how the Knicks do this year. Because I like
Yeah,
Tibbs, but
yeah,
there's a question. There's an asterisk for me. I don't want to say it's both asterisk question mark. Tibbs hasn't proved in his coaching tenure in the NBA that he can get a championship with a team. And I get it. It takes teams time to get a championship. The Knicks are moving in that trajectory under Tibbs. And when Tibbs came, the Knicks were at the lowest of the low.
yeah.
They were low. He brought them to a different level. And we've seen a striking difference individually as the team and individually with players. Countless players have gotten better under playing under Tibbs on this Knicks team. Randall's gotten better. He's gotten a whole lot better. I see the confidence exuding from Randall because his game has elevated. He's gotten better. Devo got better. Quickly got better. You know, guys have gotten better. Playing here, iHeart had got better. So I think that's all well and good, but I think this Knicks team, they have to become. I don't know. Do you think this Knicks team is known as a championship team? I mean, excuse me, known as a playoff team? Or do you think they still have to prove that they're a team that makes the playoffs?
No, they have to prove that they're a team that makes the playoffs because they've gotten knocked out, both times. So until they prove it, then you could say they are a playoff team. And they look good on paper, but if that don't translate to on the floor into wins, then you're not, in my opinion, anyway.
So
Because you
you don't
haven't
think
won.
that the Knicks making the playoffs is like good enough? You think that to you, I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. The Knicks are they're just known as a team that they can win, whatever respective wins that they win, but they're not really known as a playoff team.
Yeah, because they haven't gone to the finals. So until they make it that far, then you can say that. But when you get knocked out in the second round and so forth, you haven't they haven't gone to the finals yet.
Yeah, you're right.
So technically they are. And the way they're looking, and I believe they would right now they because they don't look so great. Maybe people have them, and they know people. A lot of the commentators have them as a sixth and seventh, but they are capable of possibly taking that fourth. I mean, even maybe third once they get healthy, because it's gonna be Boston, Cleveland. I could even say put the Knicks, even third or fourth.
Yeah,
Once they string along some wins.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you on that playoff statement of what you're saying. The Knicks, and I think this is part of the reason why the Knicks aren't respected, not
And
just amongst the league, but just in the sports media world, on social media. The Knicks are not a respected organization or a respected team. I think individual players are like known and respected and they get respect, but I just don't think that the Knicks as a whole are respected because they fall short.
yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
And when you continue to keep falling short for decades now, you're a laughing stock. You're taken lightly. You're not taken seriously. And you can be a great player like Randall, like Brunson, but sometimes, or a lot of the times, you're only really spoken about when you're playing against certain teams and wherever you're broadcasted or however you played against that team, then your name gets brought up for good reasoning.
Hmm.
So I think the Knicks will not get the respect or start getting respect until they make the playoffs. I mean, excuse me, until they make it to the finals.
Yeah.
Eventually win a championship. I agree with you 100% on that. They have to figure out a way under Tibbs. There has to be some growth because we can't go back. The past few years we've grown, so we can't go back. And
Yep.
I don't see that happening, but this is why there's this asterisk question mark for me with Tibbs because I wonder how far can this Knicks team go under Tom Thibodeau? And I get it. He's not a player. He can't go out on the floor and play. But with the right coach, you can formulate how your team plays and how far they go.
Space Coast. We need to make the Eastern Conference Finals to start earning the respect like Boston did for a few years until they won a chip. I agree. Yep. 1,000%. Well said.
Yeah, I just think though that again, like I was saying with Tibbs, it starts with him because you're the one calling the shots. You're the one making the rotations. You're the one deciding who's playing 35, 40, 46 minutes, who's
Yep.
not playing enough minutes. You're deciding what combinations are going to work. And I get he's still trying to figure that out. They're still trying to test different lineups, and I get it. But we said this, if not the last podcast, the episode before that. The answer is not bringing in another superstar. The answer is not bringing in Giannis. The answer is not bringing in whoever else you think. That's not the answer. Bringing in a superstar, a high caliber player, doesn't mean that it's going to change the trajectory of how this team plays. It may not even work out. Sometimes that doesn't always work when you bring in a superstar over to a player. They may not play well with Cat or Brunson. We're still
Yep.
figuring out the growing pains now when Mikal Bridges trying to get adjusted over to this team. And them trying to figure out the growing pains together. Listen, I'd rather them have the growing pains and the issues now while it's still early in the season than us to still be having these problems come March. That's late March. We're going into that's concerning. So the Knicks will figure it out. They'll get out of this world spin of whatever's going on here. Unbalanced this unbalanced act that's going on. Tibbs will be watching. As a Knicks fan base, we'll all be watching. Not just the rotations, but just like the balancing of the minutes. Do you put the rookies in so they stay ready? You Tibbs want to preach next man up mentality like this is the army. Well, how they gonna have next man up mentality if you don't even give them a chance to be ready to be next? And I
Exactly.
understand you got to stay ready no matter what, but damn, can you give me a little bit of minutes aside from practice? So, and then there's on top of that, Tibbs hasn't won a championship under his tenure as a head coach in the NBA. So, can Tibbs make that happen under this New York Knicks team? I really wonder. And I should only hope New York, the New York Knickerbockers need a championship badly. I don't want to rush the championship, but I also don't want to have to wait. I would love for you to see it in your lifetime. There's plenty of people in the chat. There's plenty of people who follow not just this channel, but plenty other Knicks content channels. There's Knicks fans who's been diehard Knicks fans for years, and we're just like, why haven't we figured out the formula yet? And I'm not saying it's a magical formula, but you watch teams, and I'm not just using Boston because they won. I can't stand Boston. Not just using them because they won the championship, but they figured out a way because it took them some time before they won it. And then you look at Cleveland and you're like, wow. And I'm not expecting perfection. Some nights you're gonna have an off night. You're not gonna win them all. You're not gonna win all 82. But something has to change. There has to be a shift, and that the wheels start turning in the right direction of consistency. Consistency on the defense, consistency on the offense, consistency in wins, consistency with the players playing together. Something's got to give. So I'm not giving up hope on this Knicks team. I'm hoping that the Knicks can put Brooklyn away. I know they can, but like playing against Detroit, the game tends to be close. And I would like to see them get the next two against Brooklyn and get on a streak of wins under their belt. And yeah, we're not going to go over that many games because we'll be back on Sunday when they play Brooklyn. So they play them tomorrow, Friday night Knicks, and then they play them again on Sunday. But the Knicks, it's imperative that they figure out defensively, like, okay, you may not have the depth, but even with the group of guys you have to figure out a way to play stronger, more intentional, more aggressive, tough defense. Not in spurts, like you said, for the full 40 minutes. You can't let up. This lack of energy in some games in the first quarter, it's got to stop. Got to come out
Yeah.
more energized than that. Brunson and Mikel, just let the game come to you. Don't force anything. Don't beat yourself up, Mikel. If whoever you're guarding and they, score, just let it go. Just play your game. You just proved that you was able to come back from 17 against Chicago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
hung
Yeah.
that one up. This team is a fighting, resilient team. So again, they're gonna take these losses. There's gonna be a shift. I wish we was able to see the like uncut videos, like little mini ones. Like MSG is cool, but I wish we could see a little bit of like locker room talk. I
Oh
want to
yeah.
know who's the vocal leader in that locker room. Who's saying what to who? Who's saying what out loud?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's what I want to see. I guess I'm spoiled because the Liberty does that. I need the uncut version. I don't want to see what you're putting on social media. I want to see what y'all talking about in the locker room. I don't need the whole conversation. Just snippet. Who's saying what to who? What's going on?
Who's holding
And
who accountable?
yeah, accountability, including self accountability, and also for tips. it falls on you too. So yeah, I just I agree it's on Tibbs to lead the team to the promised land. Yeah, if he can do it, we're hoping so. Tibbs was the DC for Doc when the Celtics won. This is true, but Tibbs hasn't done it as a head coach himself. Tibbs has always been known to bring teams when they've been like at their low to a better record, a better winning team, a better overall team. Tibbs is known to do that.
And
But
that's what he's doing for his defense, but that's what we're waiting for the Knicks to take that leap, that defensive leap. Because
yeah,
that was a part of their identity last season. And I get it, the bench is thin, but for the guys that you do have, you still got to play defense. So
yeah. Shout out to Paula Bonner said, look at the Liberty, finally the best thing that happened. 28 years I've been a fan and it's awesome. Can't wait for the Knicks to do the same. Yeah. I
same here.
I think that 28 years is why it definitely hit home for me. Cause it made me think of the Knicks. Like, damn, when the Knicks win, that's how Knicks fans are gonna feel. Like, yo, it took us over 50 years to get another championship. So you better
Mhm.
savor it when they win. We take it all in. Talk about it as we should.
Yep.
Only a three could beat us. Paris Struggle salute. And he had us in drop coverage, so Josh had to fight over a pick when the center should have been up high and doubled the three ball. I do agree with that, but maybe because I was thinking the same thing. I felt like why didn't Cat move over to guard Kobe White?
Hmm. But
Because even if Cat would have went over, Josh could have just fell back on whoever Cat was guarding because he was trying to get over, he couldn't get over. And with Carl Anthony Towns being so tall and that long reach of a wingspan, maybe that could have helped, without fouling, of course. But I was thinking that when I rewatched the replay a few times. Defense is losing these games, not offense. Absolutely, it's defense. I'm not concerned with this next team offensively. We have plenty of guys who can get us a bucket, who can score, who can get to the basket, who can create their own shots, who can create space for themselves. But this Knicks team defensively, they're not locked in. They're a step too slow. They're not guarding the perimeter. When they're double teaming at times, it's atrocious right now. And I've seen spurts of it where the Knicks have looked great defensively, but they're not fully locked in because we see spurts of it, and then we see some games where the Knicks look really, I don't want to say really, but the Knicks look good defensively, and then there's other games where we see pockets of it. Maybe the first quarter they playing good D, the second quarter is half of the quarter they play good D, the third quarter they have a defensive collapse, and in the fourth quarter they'll play back good defense. So it's just the consistency is missing there from this Knicks team. They have to get consistent. They have to talk to each other. And that was another thing that I was saying too. I don't understand why this team doesn't talk to each other.
yeah.
It's mind boggling to me. You get out of college and all of a sudden nobody needs to talk to each other. That's what it's about, defense. Everyone can score, but definitely they are not there. Yeah. And they will get there, but they're just not. Campaign is our second best defensive player. Um, is Cam expected to play tomorrow? I feel like it's too early to tell. We'll know tomorrow
Hmm.
because I know you were saying he he was like questionable or something like that.
But so
And
far, they don't have him listed, so but it's too
I
early.
know you brought up Deuce didn't play well because you said he's still fighting through his sickness, his illness, whatever he's got going on. So,
Mhm.
which makes sense. I guess he's trying to fight through it and play. So, because that's not like Deuce to give you only 2 points.
Yeah, for sure.
So, he's clearly not feeling well. There is some talks that the Knicks, they may cut ties with Mitch, and they're looking to um, either would make a deal with Utah or Portland. Rumors,
Yeah,
but
boom,
we don't know.
allegedly.
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly.
So, but Eddie said we were in training camp and 11 games into the season. He should have figured out his combinations by now. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's what. Yeah. I hate when Tids when he's still playing with the
he
rotation.
did this last year.
Yes, yeah, that's my only
Like
doubt for him.
you didn't swap and trade that many players. Come on, let's be real here. And if anything, like I said before, this is the first time to me in a while that the Knicks have had a good, strong rookie class of guys on this team. Like,
Yeah,
I, this is what I mean. I don't know. I think with Tibbs, he's just stuck in his old ways, his
yeah,
own habits, and it gets in the way of him and the team and the betterment of the team. And this is not a bash Tibbs show. That's not the direction I'm going. I'm just saying that I question sometimes, like, what are we doing here, Tibbs? You trying to play around with combinations. So you still gonna play with combinations when what Mitch and Precious come back? That's what you're
yeah,
basically saying. You're gonna say you sometimes you're gonna say, okay, which again, I want to see it. I want to see Cat and Mitch on the floor at the same time at times, but you're gonna be playing around with the rotations. Let me try Cam here. Let me try to, sprinkle in Cole. Let me put this combination. Come on now. Come on. You had a whole summer to figure it out before training camp even came up, before preseason even started. I don't know. Tibbs be tibbing. We'll
Tids.
see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Tibbs will have going on as far as the this Knicks team. That's all I can say. Because we really don't know. But yeah, what do you have the Knicks beating Brooklyn the next two games?
Yeah, I would like, but yeah, but I know it's gonna be a tough one, and quite frankly, I would, I think I'm gonna do a split because I don't think Brooklyn's gonna just. It's not gonna be easy. So I'm gonna do a 1-1. Don't know which one. We'll have to wait and see. Brooklyn, th- they're not getting exactly blown out. They're hanging in there. So I don't know. It's gonna be a tough one though.
I'm gonna be opposite. I'm gonna go 2-0. We gotta pick it up. We gotta pick it up. Lock in, wake up, lock in. Space Coast said the bench is pretty much brand new, but Tibbs needs to trust the players, give them confidence to make mistakes. Absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree 100%. Allow them to make the mistakes early. So this way, if you, God forbid, you have an injury of one or two players that are your starting five players, yeah, the next man up mentality is great, but they'll be ready to come in. You did it with uh uh what's his name? Deuce.
yeah.
So
And you work on those mistakes in practice.
right. Randall in the doghouse already in Minnesota because of defensive lack of effort. I've heard of that. I read that.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that too. Hmm.
I mean, well, I'm not really surprised. There was some question on his defensive effort while he was here.
Yeah, he's not
Sometimes the
exactly.
lack of like effort.
He's not this defensive prowess, you know.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
not exactly a stopper.
Cat has surprised me with his play much better in the post than I thought. Absolutely. And you know why I think it's also surprising? Because as Knicks fans, we haven't seen a true post in a while on this team.
Hmm.
We haven't had a player of his caliber who can get the ball in the post, get a floater, get a little close midi, who can float, finger roll the ball in, stop and pop. Did you see when he drove to the basket against Chicago and then he stopped and then
Yeah,
an easy layup? Like just the basketball IQ, his patience on the three, his passes, the eyes behind his back passes. He's like, Jokic is not the only one, and iHeart is not the only one that can make these passes. I can make those passes too. So that's why
exactly.
I'm saying once the Knicks lock in, they're going to be very, very dangerous and develop that two-man game as well between Brunson and Cat. But he very much so belongs on this team. There's no question, or whoever feels like that, you're tripping. There's no question whether this man belongs on this team. He absolutely belongs on this Knicks team. Quite frankly, if he wasn't here, the Knicks would really be in trouble.
Oh, for sure.
So, you know, what he's shown so far, his basketball skill set is very high. It's impressive. His basketball IQ is there. And just the effort that he brings with for the rebounding, the strong putbacks, you know, the defense as well. I'm really impressed what I see overall. And we haven't had a player like this in a while on this Knicks team. So yeah, beating the Nets is expected. Now getting it done, the Knicks are more than capable. But we know how, like I said, when the Knicks for some reason when the Knicks play the Nets, it's always a close game. Neck and neck, trading baskets, oohs and ahs from the crowd. I don't want to see that. Put them away. I don't want to see a back and forth game. I don't want to see. I don't. Seriously, Patrick Ewing was the only post play I can remember like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how long it's been since we've had such a versatile player with doing what Carl Anthony Towns is doing. Patrick Ewing.
yeah, yeah.
Just like before we got Brunson, we didn't have no true point guard for a while on this team.
Oh,
We had the most random people bringing up the ball. Alfred Payton. What was the other one name? What was the other one name? He used to be the point guard for us. You got to go back a couple of years.
oh man, yeah.
I can't think of his name, and his face is in my head. It's gonna come to me. Someone in chat may put it. But we had the most random people. And then the problem when we got our rookies in the past, I don't know whose job it was to do scouting and recruiting for the Knicks. And I don't know if it was two separate people. Like, I don't know if one person was doing the international division and the other person was doing it here on a collegiate level in the States. Terrible. It was like they would just go into any gym. Hey, you play ball? You want to play with the Knicks?
Well, there was Frank Nelson. We had a bunch of people.
Yeah, that
Frank.
they had high hopes for because they saw something that wowed them. When it came to the Knicks, I said, "What happened? What happened?"
Frank, Dennis Smith Jr. The list goes on. I mean, you know, which team are you referring to? Because there was some stinkers on that team back in the day. So you know,
And then there's the other one that he still plays in the league. Knox, Kevin Knox.
Oh, and you had Trey
Every
Burks. He
time,
was a
oh my
guy.
gosh, you see what I mean? Just painful, painful.
Manuel
So the Knicks,
Moutier. So to go on.
whoever job that was, I really hope that they're not employed on the New York Knickerbockers organization because they were just
Well,
grabbing anyone. They were grabbing anyone.
that was one of them.
But that wasn't him. It was the other one. He was Raymond Felton.
Oh, we talk. Wow, you're going back. She. Oh, yeah. That's man.
And it sucks because the Knicks used to have some guys that were pretty good on this team, but they ain't have no help. That was the other problem too. For a while, the last good Knicks team we had was when we had all the veterans playing under Mike Woodson. When we had Jason
Yeah.
Kidd, Thomas, Rasheed Wallace, and Stoudemire was on that team, right? I
Yeah.
think that was the last good Knicks team that we had prior to this team that we have now. Otherwise than that, crickets, a bunch of jokes. That's that's when the Knicks were so bad, the fans were booing them. Because I remember the first time I heard that, I remember I asked you, I said, "Are they booing them?" You was like, "Yeah." You was like, "Because they stink, stinking up the whole garden." Listen, we have grown from those really horrible times, dreadful times, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. But I'll be even more grateful and thankful to see this Knicks team get to the finals. I want to see this Knicks team win more than 50 games. That's not asking for a lot. You can do 55 to 60 in that range. And you don't need to be the number one or number two team. The goal is to chop off the heads of those better teams each round. It's not supposed to be easy. Playoffs are
Yeah.
hard, it's challenging. So we'll revisit back after, I don't know, maybe around 25, 30 games. And even then, I feel like that's still maybe a little too early to say, is this Knicks team championship contenders? But we'll see how things can change. They play a ton of games throughout each week. And we'll be continuing to look out for timelines for both Precious Achua, Mitchell Robb, and we'll see what this Knicks team does. We'll see what this Knicks team does. And
Yep.
and thank God we don't have the horrible scouters that we used to have on this team. And that was the problem though too. We had Dolan who wanted control of everything, and no one else can do anything on his team.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, how we bring in Leon Rose. Maybe Dolan felt comfortable taking a seat back because Leon's like so experienced. His experience and his resume speaks for his itself. So we started finally seeing change. Because even under the Mellow era, we weren't really going anywhere.
Yeah.
It
For
was
sure.
just game by game excitement here and there. We weren't going anywhere. We was still a laughing stock. So let's be patient. Let's trust the process. Let's hope that Tibbs figures out his combinations and formulas quickly, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens with this next team. Shout out to the chat for everybody for joining us today. Wonder Woman, salute to you. Cully, who's been joining us. Nostalgic Nick, always tuning in. Kareem Grant, always showing love. Space Ghost, salute. AP, always showing love. AP always joins us too when we talk about the Liberty. So shout out to you. Eddie C, always showing love as well. Dorcosaurus Rest, who's been in the building a lot lately. Love that. Who else? A Negro One, been rocking with us since day one as well. Always showing love. Paula Bonner, love, love, love. Thank you for joining us as well. Parish Duggar, always showing love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, oh, Juan B. Salute to Juan B. You heard him. He said, respect. Get the likes up and share the video. Support these ladies. Ain't tell no lies. Hit the like button, guys, if you haven't already. Hit that AJ button.
The AJ button.
Speaking of AJ, Jarrell, and Steph, and I believe Jeff, they're going on tonight, Queens Court.
Oh yeah, 9. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
on that
Mm-hmm.
for the Just Nicking It show, not Queens Court. Queens Court is Monday. Just Nicking It, they'll be on at 9, talking about the Knicks. I know that's going to be a goodie. I'll be tuned in for that. And salute to everybody else. Salute to Ron and John from Still Knicks fans. So
Mm.
Tony Crow, who comes on from Knicks and Bruises and also does the Losers Lounge. Simeon Russell, the founder of Nothing But Knicks. Salute to Uncle Freezy from Blood Orange Tears. Salute to Eb over at the Nick of Time show. We working up a show to do a recap. So I reached out to her and BX Chris. So we'll be doing a recap of end of season recap for the New York Liberty. Look out for that show. Um, and who else? I feel like Jarrell from his Die Hard Giants podcast. Salute to you as well. Jeff Clafter, another panelist on the show for his blog, Happily Ever Clafter. Love the name. I actually follow his blog now. And shout out to the 718 boys for
Well,
always love. Salute to Jay Boogie. And I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but if I am, we will shout you out on the next episode because we like to show love to every other Knicks content creators as well. Um, but yeah, that is it for us tonight. Stay tuned for the Just Nicking It show on Dope Soul Sports Talk tonight at 9. And we'll see you all on Sunday. We'll be back
Sunday.
at 11. We'll do a pregame. We'll do a recap of tomorrow's game, Friday night Knicks. Knicks are playing at 7:30 at home. And then they go to Brooklyn right next door. So we'll do a recap of Friday's game and then a post game for Sunday. And then we'll do our predictions for next week's games as well. Anything else for you, Diva before we get out of here?
No, I'm still gonna go 1-1 because Brooklyn's gonna give them. I would like to see them get two, get both of them, but you know, and you're
And
you're doing the opposite.
I'm surprised because normally our predictions are like you're very optimistic and positive in your predictions. So I'm very surprised that the tables are turned. So listen, maybe this is what we need to do. So then they win both, you know. So we'll see. But everybody have a great night. Stay tuned for Queen coming up next at 9. And have a great weekend. We'll see you all on Sunday. Be safe out there, everybody. And until next time, we'll holla at you. Peace.